He grew up in a Christian house, so everything was perfect. Everything was great. I'm telling you right now, it wasn't. Okay? I live life. I can't look at any of you and put the same judgment or hat on you and say, this is how your life was. I've been to the Philippines, I know. No, I went once, okay? I don't know a lot about the culture, but you know what? I've walked through, and talked to some of the pastors and some of the leaders there, and I understand the struggles that some of the Filipino people are going through. It was a blessing just to be a part. We did a medical camp all week that we were there, and we saw about 1,400 people come through for free medical care. So we had a pastor, and he was a doctor as well, and we did minor surgeries and checkups and everything that we could, and we brought over, I don't even know, it was probably over 100 pounds of medical supplies and medicines with us on that trip. It was pretty amazing to see the work that pastor and everything, and we laid hands on the sick people before they came and after they came through. It was an amazing process to see that medical camp. So when we become impatient during the process, our flesh gets in the way, right? And we're pretty much all flesh, right? Every time I look at my feet, they're made out of flesh. Sometimes I wish I was like the Terminator, the robots, Roundabout. But when we're impatient, that kind of puts a blockade on God's ability to work through us. God's a God of faith. He's a God of miracles. He's a God of wonders. Sometimes we pray for the sick. We pray for the sick every night that we were in the Philippines. We had about 10,000 people in attendance in this huge basketball arena in Zamboanga City. And we prayed every night. And there's tons and tons of people that were sick and in need and needed healing. Did everyone get healed? No. There's tons of people that came through, and we prayed for them. We had all the faith we could have, and they still walked away limping. They still got pushed out in wheelchairs. But there's tons of great stories that came out of that I'll share a little bit later. So when you enter the process of the roundabout faith, when you're entering those scenarios of life, you have to yield to God's will. You have to say, God, this is your will. This is what you've called me to go through. I'm a chef by trade. I went to culinary school. And when I started a culinary career, I had to humble myself and start at the bottom of the totem pole of the company that I worked for. And every week, it seemed like my manager had something bad to say about me. Anybody have bad bosses in here? If your boss is in here, don't wave your hand. But I had bad bosses, okay? And, whatever I seemed to do right, they thought that it was wrong. And there's nothing I had to do. And that was a hard, difficult process. I called my wife every day, like, babe, I think I'm going to quit. I can't take this. There's so much pressure, so much stress in my life that I wasn't able to see that God was putting me through a certain situation and scenario. Say, Justin, you have to humble yourself. You have to go through this process because I'm making and molding you into the person I'm calling you to be. And so, as time went on, more bad managers. I thought I was going to get a good manager the next one because that lady left. And I was like, yes, God, thank you. I'm done with this process. And he was like, nope, I'm going to put someone worse in that position. And so the next manager was even worse. And she came in and said, she'd yell at me and write me up for things that I didn't even do. And, called me horrible names. And I was like, God, I thought the process was over. And he said, no, you haven't yielded yet. You're still entering the process. I was like, God, how long? And I'm growing up in church. I knew how the Israelites had to wait 40 years to reach the promised land. And even then, it took them even longer to get there because they were afraid. There was giants in the land. Having faith, but it seems like you're not getting anywhere. And that's when you're stuck in the process of that roundabout. I know for me, the first time I drove through a roundabout, it was not an easy process to get out because I didn't know exactly where I was going. Has anybody else done that? I'll admit it. Okay? You're going around, especially there's some big ones in Eastern Europe, and so you're just going around and there's like 5 million different entrances and exits to get out of the place, and you're like, I don't know where I'm going. What do I do? Right? I've done it, and I have small ones in America. Anybody have heard the guy named Job in the Bible? He has a whole book dedicated to his name, his story.
Yeah.
You guys heard it? All right. Thank you, Selena. Selena started it. Excellent. So kind of a breakdown and synopsis of Job. Job had to go through tons and tons of stuff. In Job chapter 1, if you want to turn there with me. Job chapter 1.